Hi guys. Normally I would never in a million years consider doing anything like what I'm about to do. I thought today I would actually demonstrate for you how to do a smoky eye on yourself very quickly and easily so that you too can be polished and glowing when you go out and not pay a gazillion dollars to get your makeup done. My most insecure thing right now is being in front of this camera right now with a 120 watt bulb on my face, about to show you how to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a smoky eye using the gradient method, which means dark to light. And then I'm just going to show you how to contour your cheekbones a little bit, make your lips have an extra special big pout, which I'm a big fan of. And hopefully this will help a lot of you guys that email me all the time asking how I do my eyes on myself, and it will help you feel more confident when you go ahead to do it on yourself on those nights when you go out. So here it goes. So I'm going to start with an NW25 Select SPF Concealer, and this is by MAC. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that concealer and I'm just going to kind of put it on my eyelid. And this is a little bit different because I'm not showing you how I do makeup on somebody else. I'm showing you how I do it on myself. My personal favorite color is Smut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the gradient method, and I'm going to start with my favorite color, which is Black Tide. I'm going to take my Black Tide eyeshadow. This is a really firm brush, and I'm going to stretch out my eyelid, and I'm really going to drag right along the lash line. I hope you guys can see this. And this is a really beautiful color because there's a lot of sparkle to it. And I'm going to kind of drag in here and here. And you know, you can be really messy with your lines because it just doesn't matter because you're going to blow them out anyway. People get so afraid when they use black eyeshadows to get too smoky. And you don't have to be afraid. You can just really load it on there, pack it on there, you'll be fine. So again, I'm just dragging the black right by the lashes, the lash line a little bit higher. Now this is where a lot of girls go wrong. They could get confused with where the orbital bone is. The orbital bone is right, if you look back, it's that bone that pops out there, and that guarantees symmetry on both eyes, because what happens is you have your orbital bone and your eyeball sits in it, right? And so you have one sphere sitting inside of a larger sphere. I'm sure you guys have heard me say that before. So you have one large sphere sitting inside another sphere, but what you're showing the world is almonds. So you have to have that understanding of the sphere behind it, which will give you that perfect look when you do a smoky eye, because a lot of times people go wrong by not using the proper blending techniques because they're concentrating on the wrong area of the eye to haze out. So now I'm going to take my favorite color, Smut, and I'm going to do it with a new 229 brush. This is a little bit similar to the MAC 224 brush, except it's a little bit more conically shaped on the top, and it's a little bit smaller so it can get into all those areas. So as you can see right now, I look like a big scary monster, but that's okay. I'm going to take my favorite color called Smut. This is a beautiful color. And I'm just going to kind of tilt my head back like this. And I'm going to graze this Smut on top of the Black Tide over the orbital bone. And again, you're not worrying so much about the product and its placement, and you know, the cream concealer base is really anchoring the product down, so you're not going to worry about it slipping later in the evening. Your makeup will not crease if you do it using my techniques. And I'm going to go back to my Black Tide and just kind of refresh that bottom thing that I did. You don't have to use the original 242 synthetic, or I'm sorry, the goat tail. You could just kind of use whatever you have because you're using such dark colors, it doesn't matter. But what I want to make sure the entire time is that I'm maintaining a balance on both of the eyes, okay? So I'm going to kind of sweep a little bit to the sides because I want to pull my eyes farther apart, because for me personally, my eyes are a little bit closer set together, so I want to make sure that I am pulling them out to the side so that my audience will see what I want them to see, which is almost like a cat-like kind of eye. I'm going to use now a looser sable brush, and what that is it's similar to the 242 and the 229 that I showed you, but this is the 224, and this is the 224 that I actually trimmed myself. I trimmed it so that it's a little bit more pointy on the top. It's very similar to the Chanel brush, I don't know which number this is, but this is the Chanel Dome brush. So they're very similar, but this is not as firm. So what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to do what's called losing the edge a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my brush, and I'm going to take Night Train, which is a discontinued color for MAC, but you could take any light gray. And I'm going to do what I personally call dancing. This is my own term. And I'm going to go right on top of the orbital bone, and I'm just going to haze, and I'm going to kind of not go where the brow highlight would be. Okay, this is where your brow highlight. For those of you who don't know what the word brow highlight is, it's that area that you guys will tend to put your white eyeshadows, which will create a nice lift. Now for all high points of the face, that's where you create your light. So if you notice, I'm not using any really super frosty eyeshadows in here because this is the deeper set portion of my eye. So I'm gonna make sure that I am putting the, if I'm gonna do any frost, it's gonna be right underneath the eyebrow. So as you can see, again, this isn't how I look in pictures, but you can see that it's coming along. Now, something that my friend Kennard, who worked for MAC with me, told me once is that eyebrows are sisters, they're not twins. And so many girls get themselves nuts thinking that they have to have their eyebrows be perfectly even. But with a sisters, not twins concept, each eyebrow maintains its kind of own artistic integrity. And by arcing them up at different angles, you have your own kind of clever look. Again, I still am really messy around. And now this is one of my favorite brushes. This is called the 250 from MAC. And I'm going to take my favorite eyeshadow, Vanilla, which I tend to use, I think, way too often. And I'm going to take the Vanilla, and this is actually a very funny brush to do a brow highlight with because it's so big and so firm, but it's actually just going to give me a really nice way. Now, I like to do sometimes a double, sometimes a triple brow highlight. But I'm going to take the Vanilla powder, and I'm going to kind of go right underneath the brow bone, and I'm going to really press that into the eyelid. And then I'm going to go over to the other eyelid, and I'm going to press the Vanilla in. It's almost like you're stippling. If you guys don't know what stippling is a technique that many artists use, and all of those terms transfer on over to makeup artists. And stippling means that, you know, you kind of want to maintain the integrity of what product is underneath by pressing it in versus wiping it across. And then I'm going to go back with my self-created cut 224 brush, and I'm going to haze again. Now, I don't like how sometimes when you're working with grays, how things can get muddy. So I'm actually going to warm it up a little bit with some frostier highlighting shades. So now I'm going to take, this is Shroom. Okay, so I'm going to go inside of the waterline, and I'm going to kind of really get on in there, get in the upper inner corner. And on the outer part, I'm going to drag a little bit, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here, inside, and drag out. Okay. And I'm going to just take a synthetic brush. I believe that this was a MAC Pro brush for a little while, but now you could just take any kind of synthetic brush, but you want to be very conscious of the angle at which you're coming at your eye. If you come at your eye at this angle, it's going to come on a lot heavier because you're going to be covering more surface area. But when you come on at the more pointed angle, you can have a lot more control and get where you want. Sharpen my Feline pencil, which is a really rich black kohl pencil. Some of you won't have access to this color because it was super limited edition from MAC, and it's a little bit hard to get. So, you know, you could use Smolder or anything else, but just make sure it's a really dark black. A lot of times when you're dealing with white powders underneath the brow, you want to really make sure that you remove any excess powder off of those eyelashes because that'll kind of build stuff up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the Feline, and you really don't have to be too nutty when it comes to making sure that you have an even line. As you notice, I'm stretching the eye, and I always want to have visual continuity. And you can pull out a little bit. Okay. Then do the same thing on the other eyelid. Something an amazing makeup artist told me once was always complete your lines. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to kind of bury my lines in. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a flat liner brush. You can use any flat liner brush that you have. I prefer the one from MAC because I prefer everything from MAC. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Carbon eyeshadow. Any of you who have been to the MAC store know that Carbon eyeshadow is like their #1 seller. And I'm going to take the Carbon and I'm going to go on top of the Feline line, okay? And what this does is it's double setting the liner. It's going to prevent it from blotting. And for those of you who don't know what the technological term blot means,